It's Dio right here on your Classic Metal Show with Straight Through the Heart. That one going out by way of email request to our good friend in the chat room, Tex Nation. Mm-hmm. He says, Neeley, lately it seems you have to dedicate a song to get your request played on the CMS. A little PayPal donation wouldn't help either. So I wanted to dedicate Straight Through the Heart by Dio to Wendy Dio, who has backstabbed him and cheated on him for years. Wow. This is a known fact. It's even in Stephen Piercy's book. And to all the men out there who are married to dried up snatch sluts, snatch sluts.
Snatch sluts. How about that?
I don't know what a snatch slut is. When I hear the word snatch slut, it kind of reminds me of me.
Oh, when I hear the word slut, I automatically think of snatch. I thought they were one and the same.
Well, but you got to think, if you're a snatch slut, that means you're kind of like a connoisseur of snatch.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Got to have it all the time.
Right. That you could never make happy. Honey, do this and do that. Mm-hmm. Does that ring a bell with you at all?
I can't answer that question.
Hail and kill, fuck you, Wendy, and all the entitled women of the world. Hand job. For your information as a goof, you should compare it. Let's see. You should compare It's So Easy by Guns N' Roses to So Easy by our CMS family. He's been going to Metallica concerts. Our family member, Tim James. Just a suggestion.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. It's So Easy to So Easy.
So Easy by Tim James?
Yeah, because they share the same title, I guess.
I don't know that I know that song by Tim James. Do you?
Neither do I. I don't think it's because they're similar in sound. I just think he's comparing one song title to the other.
Comparing the music or the titles, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, you probably didn't hear this, but the big CMS uproar of the week that Jan Patrick filed a copyright strike against...
you know what? I was going to bring this up earlier in the show.
All right.
Being that I'm not involved with the whole social media and I don't do the whole Facebook, and I know that you monitor that shit and you know, you're involved with that. Mm-hmm. What happened with Jan Patrick? What exactly happened there? I know that there was some kind of problem, but I'm not really sure what happened there.
Well, there's a couple of things that I think happened.
Okay.
One involves me directly, and one involves the guys, the crew that did the CMS Legion song.
Okay.
I don't know for sure what happened with the CMS Legion, except for somehow they all didn't get along.
All right. Well, you and I have no involvement with that, just to make that clear. None. Yeah, zero.
We were not involved. We didn't sing on it. We didn't perform on it. We did nothing on it. I didn't even know about it until you brought it to the table.
Yeah, it was sent to me. I know that they were working on it, then they sent it to me, and then we debuted it on the show, and that's as much involvement as I personally had in that, so I got really no insight on this at all.
Right. So that's that piece, and I don't know a whole lot about that piece, but that's the one side, is that there was an issue with the fans. The issue with me, the direct issue with me was, as you're aware, Jan had my personal, Facebook and contact information.
Okay.
And he was driving me fucking nuts to do more music.
Okay.
And as you remember this, because I know I told you, I think I said it on the air too, that I was going to try and do something in December.
Because you were going to take the month off.
Yeah, and I was going to use that time when I had some time to do, he wanted me to sing another song or two, and I was going to do that then. Well, he kept fucking sending me songs. And was like, oh, do you think you could write something for this? Or could you do something for that? Or could you sing these lyrics? Or could you write your own lyrics? Or could you... And I was like, dude, I don't have fucking time for this. So at some point, he posted something on whatever site, Facebook, Twitter, I don't know where. And I didn't get back to him right away.
Mm-hmm.
So he fucking comes at me with, it's fucking insulting when you don't answer back when somebody asks you a question. And meanwhile, it was on one of those days that I was working my ass off.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out at fucking, like, on a customer site. And I get back, and it's like I get this shitty fucking message. So I was like, you know what, dude? Fuck you. And, you can fucking contact me from now on the way everybody else does, through the fucking show pages. And I booted him off of my page.
Okay.
Because he was annoying and was hampering me doing my fucking real life. I mean, I got news for people. I know I try to do my best to answer everybody's questions and shit on Facebook and on Twitter and whatever, but the reality is my business is way more important than fucking dealing with any of you guys with any of that kind of shit.
Right.
It just is. And when somebody's giving me shit about fucking not giving them fucking full-time attention, fuck you. Beat it. Go to the fucking, and I did. I blocked him from my personal pages, but not from the show pages.
Mm-hmm.
If he wanted to, he could come in to any of the show stuff, I believe. I don't think I blocked him from anything.
Okay.
On that's show related. But he sent me an email that was like, you'll never hear from me again, and blah, blah, blah. I was
all
like,
right.
Okay. It's like, okay, whatever, dude. See you later. And that was that. And, off he went, and I haven't heard from him again.
Okay. Well, again, I wasn't aware. I saw some people making some comments, and it's just like, okay, I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah.
But then,
I mean, I don't have anything against the guy personally, but it's like, dude, of all the people that you want to sing on your fucking music, I am probably not the guy. That if you're looking for somebody to be, and I don't think I'm a very good singer, but more importantly to that, I am not the guy that is going to be able to dedicate any kind of time to it. I did the Scars song. I put a little time into it. I put way more time than I should have into it, to be really fucking honest. But, I was trying to do the right thing, and I thought it'd be fun for the show, and I think it was fun for the show. And, so I did the Scars thing, and I did the acoustic, and then I did the electric, and I actually had Billy Morris listen to it and try and give me some direction, and I had Stevie giving me some direction on how to sing it. I mean, I really put some time into this fucking...
You consulted people who are actually in the business.
Yeah. And was like, trying to make sure that it was at least decent, not some bag of shit. So, but at the same time, you know me, dude. It's like, do not fuck with my real job. My real job is always going to be more important. And you know this from back when the pinball business was opening up. I missed a few shows because if it was a choice between doing the CMS or doing the pinball business, I did the pinball.
Yeah, you got to do what makes an income, not something that's a side deal that's more for entertainment than anything else.
Exactly. So when he decided to get into my business, I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't need your fucking bullshit. I don't need anybody's bullshit. I was doing it for fun. Now it's not fun, so fucking hit it. And I did, and I got rid of him for that. And then, now there's this. He filed a copyright thing against those guys for the CMS Legion song being on YouTube.
Okay, I didn't even know it was on YouTube, but okay.
So Brian Waymeyer's handling that, I guess, because he's the one that put it up, and. And again, I guess we'll handle it if I get a copyright strike against me for Scars, because I have the Scars stuff on YouTube. But, I'm whatever. If he wants to fucking, truthfully, I'll just take it down. I don't give a fuck.
Well, I hope you didn't send any racist group text that can be posted out there and expose you for the racist you are.
No more than what I say on the show, I guess. Somehow I think if people wanted to fucking hate me for the words I say, I would say fucking sentencing kids to be fucking dealt with by Andrea Yates would probably put me in the outrage category.
Right, of course. Well, I hope your record label doesn't drop you.
Hope not. Well, I guess it did because it was Finland Records, I guess.
Finland Records.
And I've been dropped. I've been dropped by Jan.
Nice. So funny.
But yeah, that's the story as best I know it. And honestly, as far as the Legion thing goes, I really don't have a lot of knowledge in it because, like you said, we were not involved.
Yeah.
I think it's a funny song, but we had nothing to do with it.
No, the fans did it. They kind of did it as a tribute to what we do. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate it, but I didn't realize it was going to turn into a pissing contest.
Yeah. Well, I guess like anything else, the more people you add, the more fucking problems it becomes.
I guess which is why I stay to myself.
Yeah, exactly. Not going to be singing any songs in the Neeley catalog anytime soon.
No, not at all. I'm a very private guy outside of doing the show. I don't get involved. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, so there you have it. That's what happened.
I gotcha. Well,
and the weird thing is, dude, and I know you probably feel this way too. I really don't have a problem with Jan. I don't have a problem with him. Even now, I don't have a problem.
Well, all I noticed is that he kind of disappeared over the last few months, and I wasn't aware that there was like some issue going on there.
Yeah.
So, again, I didn't know. I wasn't aware. I wasn't part of it. I did not correspond with anybody about it. Mm-hmm. So, this is all kind of new news to me. I didn't know.
Yeah. From what I was reading online, everybody that he was connected to, like through Facebook, has all been unfriended.
Okay. Well, there's some blocked user in your future there, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah, pal. The almighty Facebook, because I'm such a big believer in that.
Yeah. I guess
if you're still on Facebook on today, mm-hmm. There's something wrong with you, especially since everything that's been revealed about Facebook, how they sell basically all of your information to China.
Of course.
Their biggest generator of revenue is selling information. Mm-hmm. It's not ads. It's not anything else. It's just that they sell their whole backlog of, a decade's worth of information to people in China.
Mm-hmm. Well, people are gonna stay on it until fucking something else comes along, dude.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I never had a Facebook page, and I'm glad I never did.
Well, I use mine for the business these days. That's it. You see my page these days. I'll post a song. Hey, here's a cool one I haven't heard in a while. I'll post that, and that's it. I don't offer opinions. I don't give a shit. I don't really get into anybody's conversations anymore. I just don't care. Fuck people.
Yeah.
I have to do it because I make, several $1,000s a month doing social media, but I am not active on social media. On Facebook, it's probably still the most active with a couple of posts a week, but Twitter, I'll bet you I haven't posted a single tweet since like Thanksgiving.
Well, I see that Twitter is on basically the downward spiral as well after seeing that interview that founder did with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I did see that he fucking really fucking pussed out or something, didn't he?
Well, they claim Joe Rogan did not want to rock the boat. What's the guy's name that started Twitter?
I don't even know. Dickhead.
Well, what I understand from the whole Joe Rogan interview with what's this guy's name?
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey. That Joe Rogan did not really push him too hard about the whole censoring and the banning thing.
Right.
And the people who look to Joe Rogan as being some kind of a, edgy.
Well, interviewer is it that they're looking at?
Interviewer or whatever, and the fact that he brought up the whole Alex Jones. Why was Alex Jones banned?
Yeah, and the guy said, I don't know.
Yeah, the guy says, well, he must have violated some rules somewhere. And Joe Rogan just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, all right, good enough.
And that was it. And they were just like, Well, why didn't you get an answer? Why, this guy's in charge of Twitter. He started Twitter. A national figure like an Alex Jones gets banned from Twitter, and you're like totally unaware?
Yeah. And the worst part is now that guy won't go do any more interviews either, because he can say, well, look, I did the biggest podcast out there.
Yeah. Well, apparently he said, this guy.
Yeah, I watched this, by the way.
Yeah,
So
He said that he would come back and answer more questions.
Yeah, sure he will.
He said.
Sure he won't.
Yeah. But regardless of that, so apparently the people who are fans of Joe Rogan's podcast were kind of pissed off at him. Said, you know what, you let this guy slide. You didn't ask very many pointed questions. You just sort of like took his word for it, and then you just kind of glossed over it and moved on.
They weren't pissed. It was, I actually saw some videos where there's talk, and I don't know how serious it is, but because of that interview, they're talking about taking away the thumbs down voting.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I was going with this next.
Yeah, because the Rogan thing had like 1,000 likes and like 60,000 thumbs down.
Right. Well,
so they're saying that that's hateful. Or
yeah.
something.
Well, again, they were talking about doing that too because Twitter is on the decline.
Right.
And the wisdom here is that Twitter does not want their investors to know that they're in decline.
Right.
And if they, people are giving them thumbs down, or they won't talk about how many people were on Twitter or how many users they've lost, or, where they're at. They won't give a status of any kind at all.
Right.
And so the suspicion is that, well, they're just trying to hide that data.
Right.
Because they're afraid that the investors will bail.
Right. I don't doubt it, dude. It's weird because I'm much more. I use Twitter a lot more than I use Facebook.
Okay.
Believe it or not, but I don't ever post. I never post.
Yeah, I don't really post. I usually answer a Twitter here and there.
I don't even do that very much. You know what I use it for? I have some lists that make sense. It's mostly for the show, but it's also for my businesses as well.
Mm-hmm.
For like influencers and whatnot within the various businesses for the two businesses. And then for the show, I have like a couple of lists of like, one list is all comedians, another list is all celebrities or musicians rather. And, and they're everybody that's on the list is like bands that we would play here. So that if I see something, Tracy Gunn says, I can quickly grab it and send it to you, and we can use it for the show.
Right.
That's what I use it for, is I keep up with the industry by just following Twitter lists. But yeah, to actually go out there and post and say, hey, you know what? Fuck Trump and his fucking State of the Union or whatever. Fuck that. I'm so done with all that kind of horse shit. Who cares? I don't care I don't give a fuck. Whatever my view is, good, bad, whatever, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks of my view anymore. And the only reason to have social media is to engage other people in conversation or an argument about your view. And anymore, I don't care. Somebody doesn't like that I think this or that, eat a bag of shit. I'm not fucking dealing with it. I'm not going to argue with you. Good. You don't agree with me. Oh, you do agree with me? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It just doesn't fucking matter anymore.
Well, I agree with that. And again, I'm so uninvolved with that. Never have been that deeply involved.
But see, you are what I would call a secondary social media guy. Because for you're not active in posting and arguing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you are definitely somebody that uses social media a lot more than you give yourself credit for.
In what way?
Specifically YouTube. You go out to YouTube and you follow a lot of people.
Yeah, because there are a lot of content creators out there. that are the anti mainstream media.
Sure. But you're the same way as the guy that throws memes and shit around. You just do it with videos. Because I know you send me 10 videos a week of, Sotomayor or Hexenhammer.
Because I think that they make some pretty good points.
That
is outside of the mainstream of what you would get on your mainstream media.
Yeah. But you send it to me knowing that I don't watch any mainstream media.
Yeah, well, again, but the thing is that I don't watch any mainstream media anymore.
Yeah, I don't either.
I stopped watching it, I think, probably June of 2017.
Okay, yeah.
So it's almost been 2 years since I've watched any mainstream media.
You don't miss it at all?
No, I don't. But I do see the mainstream media stories pop up on
right.
Yahoo or whatever.
Right, sure.
But then I see the content creators who are still on YouTube who haven't been banned or censored or whatever, and they give what I consider the real story about what's going on out there, rather than just sucking up the tripe that the mainstream media wants you to believe.
Oh no, I'm not criticizing that you use it. I'm just saying that you use it. You just don't use Facebook.
Yeah, I don't post. I don't inject my thoughts on stuff.
No. But you do use social media.
Yeah, I do because I'm looking at stuff that will actually give me a true gauge of what's going on out there. But I certainly don't rely on CNN or MSNBC or Fox or anything to give me my news.
Oh, not at all.
I get it from people who really tell a story. And there are some pretty good productions out there that I see them and I go, wow, that's pretty insightful, or these guys did their research, or they're actually telling you the real story about what's going on out there.
Sure, of course.
And that's what I look for. Not somebody that says, oh, Trump is an asshole and he passed some, asked the Congress to pass some legislation that's bad for the country. It's like, well, what really happened there?
Yeah, no, I'm not shitting on it. I'm just saying you use it as well. You just use it. I don't think in 2019 you can get information without using some sort of social media.
Well, that is true. That is true. And the thing is what concerns me, and this is a true concern, and it's something we've talked about here on the show over the last few months, is this censoring.
Which surprises me that you still go to YouTube instead of BitChute.
Well, I've been slowly getting into both.
Okay.
Because YouTube was kind of the Wild West of, video content.
Yeah, sure.
But within the last 6 to 8 months, now they're censoring.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a problem before.
Right.
Pretty much everything went on YouTube.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden, now they're censoring content.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can't say this, and you can't use that word, and you can't talk about this, and we don't want you, spreading this. And the thing is, it's getting worse and worse.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is.
And I notice this on a weekly basis, especially with a lot of these content providers. They talk about, well, my video got
deplatformed.
No, not deplatformed, but demonetized because I said this, or because I covered this, or because I talked about this subject. It got demonetized because of that. It's just like, this wasn't a problem 6 or 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's a problem.
It's crazy, but it's gotten to that point.
Well, but that's kind of where I was going with this last week. I noticed a couple of funny comments on our YouTube videos. Okay. I saw a couple of comments saying something like, Neeley, the Chicago pundit.
Ooh, sorry. Oh, yeah, you are.
But it is a problem. And again, I understand YouTube is a company and it's a corporation. And if they want to censor whatever's on their platform, that's all well and fine. But it's interesting to me that a lot of this all of a sudden is a problem. It was never a problem over the last decade or so since YouTube has been in existence. But now it's a problem. And why is it a problem all of a sudden?
And it's annoying, little things to me drive me crazy. Like, as an example, and you don't know this, I know you don't know this, but you know how like with YouTube you can throw it to a Chromecast pretty easily?
Yeah. That's what I do all the time. I did that. I was doing that today.
Yeah, you just push a button on the YouTube video and it shows up on your TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't do that with BitChute. Google won't let BitChute do that.
Well, because Google is YouTube.
Is YouTube, of course. So now if you want to throw a BitChute video to your TV, you have to open it up on a computer and throw the Google Chrome browser.
I get that.
And not that that's really hard or anything, but it's just an extra step.
I get it.
For me, I throw a lot of YouTube stuff to my Apple TV because it's kind of built. It has the Chromecasting sort of built in.
Right. Well, even the brand new Roku has the same thing.
Does too. Sure.
Yeah.
So, but I can't do it from my phone with like the BitChute videos because I would have to go and find a computer and do it from a computer. And I don't have like a laptop on my bed or something if I'm just laying around doing nothing.
Right.
Which that sucks. It sucks that it's fucking limited.
Well, again, it's this corporate I don't know, censorship just cracking down on this, and it's just like, wait a minute, these independent guys are really gaining a lot of traction.
Yeah,
we got to stop that because it's cutting into our revenues, it's cutting into the corporate money, it's cutting into our commercial money,
right?
And these guys are getting a lot of hits. And we got to stop them.
Yeah, but I got news for them. It's too late. Genie's already out of the bottle.
Well, I agree with that, but they're still trying, though.
Yeah, they could try it all they want, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna open the dark web up to mainstream.
Well, yeah, and I agree, and this is something that you and I have always been concerned about. We know that our content is racy, or people might consider it racist or politically incorrect, or you guys talk about subjects that are taboo and you can't do this, and we know that somebody's going to put a target on our back eventually.
Of course.
And we're going to be taken off YouTube or some other platform, which is again which is all the reason in the world why you've got other platforms that host our stuff. Because eventually they're going to get to us.
Yeah, believe me. I'm not doing BitChute and Reddit and Gab because I have this desire to be on more social media platforms. Let me just tell you, just to do the uploading to the BitChute takes hours. Because their uploading is not nearly as put together as well as YouTube's is. I mean, YouTube, you could just fucking throw 5-8 videos together at once. Done. BitChute, you got to do each one individually, and you can't even like do everything and then move and then go to the next one. You have to sit there and wait for the video to upload before you can save it, and then it has to process, and then it's just it takes hours to put up the 5 or 6 videos that we do, of the video broadcast on the show. But I do it because I know a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever, we're going to be scrubbed out of YouTube.
Of course we are.
And because we're going to be scrubbed out of YouTube, I want to make sure that we have 1,000, 2,000 videos on BitChute ahead of time. And I don't know if you've noticed it or not. You probably haven't, but I've been slowly grabbing what I think are the very best stuff, backtracks and some Talking Metal episodes and some some dirt talk, some of the really classic stuff. I'm looking for the Laser Wolf, shit like that.
Right.
And I've been uploading it to BitChute. I do like 2 or 3 classics per week, just so that I know that we have them. And I mean, I know you have the audio of them, but man, I don't want to go into a process of having to create new videos.
Right, I get you.
It'd just be a major fucking hassle. So, I'm slowly trying to build the BitChute, and that's why I tell everybody, just go watch the shit on BitChute. Everything is there, and we honestly need the traffic there, because if BitChute doesn't do enough traffic, then it's going to go away too. Then we're going to be fucking fucked, because there's nowhere else to go.
Right, I get you.
There's not. The other platform that's out there to do video right now would be like Minds. I don't know if you're familiar with Minds.
I see that Styx Hex and Hammer guy. He talks about Minds.
Yeah, but they only have like a 15-minute video window.
Yeah.
And I tried like Live Leak, because Live Leak seems to be very they don't seem to worry too much about content. But they fucking, every time I upload stuff, they say that I'm violating terms of service somehow. I don't know how. I don't know what terms of service I'm violating.
Right.
But, I've tried all the video places, and BitChute seems to be the one that works so far. So, so people should follow that one, and Reddit or Gab too, really, because we will be kicked off Facebook eventually.
We will. We'll be kicked off Facebook. We'll be kicked off of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I think Spreaker is outside of the country.
Yeah, so they don't care.
So far, as far as I know, we haven't had any issue with them.
No. And to be honest, Spreaker would be the easiest one to replace.
Right.
Because with Spreaker, I could just I could host the show right on the website itself. And I could just find a web host off, out of the country somewhere, fucking Japan or somewhere, and we'd be fine. So, that would not be the problem. The problem is video content. We want to have video content because that's where we've gained our audience. And that's why I personally am spending so much time putting up our videos and then sharing them to Reddit, because Reddit is it's not as big as Facebook, but it's pretty goddamn big. I don't know how much you know about Reddit, but Reddit is big.
And that's something I wanted to ask you about, because, again, I'm not that savvy in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I see these content creators, and they often make the comment about, well, on the subreddit.
Yeah.
What is that?
Reddit as a whole is reddit.com.
Well, what is that? What is Reddit to begin with, and then what is the subreddit?
It's like Facebook, kind of.
Okay.
It's kind of, there's all kinds of content out there, and for anything and everything you can think of. And it's I don't want to say it's uncensored, but it's widely not censored. I'll put it that way. I mean, there's some real heinous shit that they would have to get killed before it would get down to us. And believe me, we're not doing anything close to what's going on Reddit. But a subreddit is, you can build more or less, it's like a channel. You can build your own channel within Reddit.
Okay, so it's a sub chapter.
Yeah, because like our subreddit it's either Classic Metal Show or The Classic Metal Show. I forget which one it is, but so if you go to us, it's reddit.com/r/Classic Metal Show.
I get you.
All right, is Reddit, and then R is whatever they use for subreddit, and then Classic Metal Show is our name, or The Classic Metal Show.
Well, I was watching the documentary series that some guy put together about the decline of Anthony Cumia.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a 7-part series.
Yeah, that was that guy Beige.
Yeah, well, that guy did a lot of work and a lot of editing and a lot of content collection to do his 7-part documentary.
Yeah.
But I kept hearing him making reference to, well, the users on the Opie and Anthony subreddit said blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So I'm assuming that was a channel for Opie and Anthony.
Still is there.
Okay.
And they shit on Opie and his brother Joe like 4,000 times a day. They hate Anthony, they hate Joe, and they hate Jimmy. They fucking hate Jim.
Okay.
So it's like all of the former fans now hate those guys.
Well, do they feel that they turn their back on him or on them? I mean, or what? What's the deal?
It's not even organized enough to where you would read it and come to a sensible thought.
Okay.
It is the chaotic, ugly side of the internet just running rampant. I have no idea why they hate him, but and I haven't followed that story enough to know. I just know that they do, and I guess I'm connected to it or subscribed to it or something, to that subreddit, and I see the posts coming through, and I mean everything is just, look at this fucking pedophile, look at this fucking.
Well, I gotta be honest, I did watch that whole 7-part documentary, and again, I don't know much about Anthony's brother Joe. I wasn't familiar that familiar with him as far as anything he does, but he is kind of a douche.
Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, again, I can understand why people are put off by him.
Right.
But again, I wasn't aware of his activities or his posts or his online rants or whatever he's done in the past. I wasn't that familiar with him.
Right.
But just seeing the video footage, the content that this guy presented, I was just like, yeah, I can kind of see how people don't like this guy.
Yeah.
He's kind of he's a douchebag.
I think with Anthony, and I don't know this to be true, I'm guessing a little bit, but from what I've seen, it had something to do with, he used to be active on Reddit.
Okay.
Like, he used to be very much involved in the O&A subreddit. And then something happened and he didn't like it or whatever. Something happened where they started to turn on him. And he got fucking pissed off and he ranted and raved about them. And there was something about he doxed a user or something. You know what that is, right?
Yeah, I saw that he basically sought this person out and, basically, yeah, of course.
Which is a bitch move if he really did
I
that.
agree. If he actually did that, I agree. That's a bitch. It's no different than that guy posting that chick's text messages. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, doxing anybody is a bitch move. But then the subreddit, I guess the people in that subreddit went when his mother died and went to the funeral home's like message board thing, where you leave condolence messages, and just trashed his mom, which is fucking really.
Yeah, I agree, and I saw that as part of that documentary.
Yeah, that's some ugly shit there, and then Anthony tried to get that Reddit shut down for hate speech, and so it's that whole thing of in one breath he's saying that he's the bastion of free speech, and then he's trying to shut people down for their speech, and
right.
There's a lot to it, and I truthfully, I don't follow it because I like the Anthony Cumia show.
I think he does a good job with it.
I love it. I watch it every single day. I enjoy it, and to be quite perfectly honest, other than the fact that I openly admit that what I do as far as being a part of the CMS, I do from watching and listening to more O&A than just about anybody and trying to get a lot of fucking ideas and, ways of interacting and doing impressions and all the different shit that I do from listening to Anthony and listening to Jim. I did for years. I studied what those guys were doing, and I try to incorporate some of it into what I do here because I think that it was funny.
It is funny.
And so I don't have hate toward Anthony. I don't give a shit what he does.
The reason I admire Anthony is that after O&A was over and he got fired from that, is just the steps that he took using his knowledge with technology, or at least getting people involved that had the background and launch his own show, launch his own network or whatever, you know. And he did a good job with it. I mean, with the cameras and the production and the audio and the streaming capabilities. And, you know, he based, to use an old cliche, he put his money where his mouth is.
He did.
You know, because I know from personal experience, the production he puts on, that's not cheap. And I guarantee you that came out of his personal pocket to make that happen.
Of course.
So that's why I admire the guy, because he took his own personal funds, bought all the equipment, bought the cameras, got the streaming, got the servers, did all the things that he had to do. Right. And you know, the microphone that I'm talking on right now, the cost on this microphone alone is $400.
Right.
And Anthony's got like 6 of them.
Yeah.
And that's just the microphones in his setup over there.
Sure.
You know, so that shit's not cheap. And then he's got a whole production room. He's got 3 or 4 guys working with him.
Yeah.
You know, then he's got the streaming servers and
all them other shows.
All that other stuff. That's not cheap.
Yeah.
You know, so the reason I admire him is because he put his money where his mouth is and made a show. Hired people, Artie Lang being one of them.
Yeah.
And streams a show on a daily basis, and it's a good quality feed.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's had, like everybody else with the internet, you have days when it just doesn't want to fucking work. But yeah, I mean, most of the time the feed is good. The feed has been solid for 99% of the shows. And, you know, if I had a criticism, the only criticism I would give him is that he, and it shocks me because he spent years being such a tech. You know, I mean, that was always one of those places that I related to Ant, because Ant would be talking about tech shit. Remember back in the old days, he would be, you know, those guys would be all fucking clueless, and he'd be out there, you know, with computer shit that he was building and whatever. Like, he knew computers and stuff. And he still does not have a really good website or fucking app. His website and his app still fuck up. Even the RSS feed, which, and I know now I'm turning into a tech, but the feed that feeds the podcast fucks up about once a week. About once a week I get, and it's not a big deal, but about once a week I end up getting a show from like 3 years ago. Will just download into my feed because there's something with the way his shit is set up that's not right. And it's like, you know, I mean, is it something I could probably fix? I'm sure I probably could if I dug in and found it, but it's something that should not be terribly hard to fix, is my point. And his website has just been a fucking pain in the ass for 2 solid years, and the app as well. And he finally got around to fixing he's just not the tech, the exterior tech has not been good.
Right.
You know, the tech of the show has been great, but like even the app on the TV, you know, they finally seem to have fixed it on the Amazon, but there was a time you would log in. I don't remember if it was Roku or Amazon, one of the two, but you had to, like, it segregated everything by month. So it was like August 2014, September 2014, October, you know, etc. But it did it in like oldest to newest order. So that should be anybody that's ever worked with Excel knows how easy it is to sort something. If it's sorted one way and you want to sort it the other way, it's usually a single click or a single line of code.
Yeah, you just reverse the order.
Yeah, and I mean, it was fucked up for 2.5 years. and that wasn't such a big deal when the show started. But once he had been on for 2.5 years, and you have
now you got to sort through 1,200 shows.
Yeah, you have to scroll down 30 months before you can even start looking for the most current show. It was one of those things that any tech with 5 minutes of knowledge should have been able to fix for him. but because I don't know why they didn't have the right developer or right development team, or he hired a company and they charged him $1,200 a fix or something, so he didn't want to do it. I don't know what the deal was, but you know, it was fucked up for a while. It does seem like it's better now, but you know, that's the only complaint I got about the show. I enjoy the show. I listen to it every day. I watch it probably half of the time, and I enjoy it. I enjoy Dave Landau a ton. I enjoy Anthony a ton. I think he's still funny. I think he's more relevant now than he ever was, you know, because there is so few voices that are out there, and there's very, very few that are out there as wide open as he is.
Right.
You know, I thankfully put us in that same lesser attention on us, but the same level of not giving a fuck.
Right.
You know, so anyway, I'm not sure why there's so much hate on the Reddit for Ant.
I have no idea. I don't pay much attention to any of that stuff, but
Right.
but I just wanted to get your insight on it. Well, anyway, we're out of time here.
Good. I mean, no, that's awful.
But one of my favorite content creators out on YouTube right now,
Yeah.
is a channel, and you really need to look this up if you care about facts at all.
Okay.
It's called Don't Walk, Run Productions.
Okay.
Don't Walk, Run Productions. And this guy, he basically, and I'm amazed at how quickly he turns out his videos. But if something comes up in the media that's controversial or there's a lot of questions involved, this guy will have a video out in about a day or two.
Okay.
To refute everything that you've been told by the mainstream media.
Nice.
And he backs it up with documents and facts and, you know, law cases and all kinds of shit. I don't know how he does it,
Right.
but he's got a lot of content.
Nice.
So if you're interested in, you know, ferreting out the truth behind what the mainstream media is feeding you,
Okay.
there's a high probability that Don't Walk, Run Productions will probably have something to refute what you just heard.
All right. Cool.
Just like, you know, the State of the Union address was on Tuesday, and that chick,
AOC.
no,
AOC.
no, the black woman who lost the governorship in Georgia.
Oh, what's her name? Adams?
Yeah, Abrams.
Abrams?
Stacey Abrams.
Stacey Abrams.
She gave the rebuttal to the speech.
Right.
He came out with a video that refuted everything she said. And he did it like within a day or two.
Nice.
And everything that she said, he would play what she said. And then he goes, well, what actually happened is
Right.
blah, 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 blah. And then he'd play a little clip of what she said. And he goes, well, that's not true either, because what really happened is,
Right.
you know, and he would back it up with all his, you know, documents and, you know, court papers or anything, you know. And how this guy turns that content around as quickly as he does,
Yeah.
I'm always amazed at that. But if you want to look at one of my favorite channels on YouTube, Don't Walk, Run Productions.
All right.
Look
Check it out.
Look it up. It's really good if you care about that kind of stuff.
That's right.
All right, well, I'm done. We're out of here.
See, you had nothing planned and we still made it.
See, I tried to prove that point. I had nothing planned and we made it work anyway.
And it was fun tonight.
And that's why the show is different every week, because there's nothing planned out. It's not an old formula. It's not, well, we got to do some music talk, and then we got to do some Judge Aiken, and then we have to do some, it doesn't work that way.
We just wung it, or whatever the word would be.
Yeah, you just wing it.
And it worked out fine.
It did. And it does.
Yep.
So it was fun. All right, well, we're going to get out of here. We will be back next Saturday. We'll do this thing all over again, and we're going to get out of here. I want you to pick a Death Angel song. I'm kind of in the mood for some Death Angel.
Death Angel?
Yeah.
Famine from Art of Dying.
Okay. Well, I love Death Angel. That's another one of my favorite hardcore bands.
Me too. I'm going to change up.
Okay.
Stop from Act 3.
Okay. Act 3 was a little less brutal.
Yeah, still a good one.
But it's a good one. I always like Room with a View. That one I always like that tune.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, Death Angel, another great band. Those guys always put out a great album whenever they turn something out.
And they're always killer live.
They are. You and I both went to see them.
Yeah, we saw them together. I saw them, 2 years ago with Slayer and Anthrax and Lamb of God, I think, was the other band.
Right. And which one did you pick?
Stop.
Oh, Stop. Okay. All right, well, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back next Saturday. We'll do this all over again. I appreciate everybody who's tuned in. Check out the show throughout the week. The podcast will be up on Monday. The video feeds will be up throughout the week, et cetera, et cetera. You know the drill. Yeah, so we're going to get out of here. So this is Neeley along with my very good friend
Zagan.
And we're gone.
Bye, kids.
Hey guys, this is Mark Ossigator from Death Angel, and you're rocking hard with the Classic Metal Show. Yeah!